Welcome back to the Breaking and Kintsugi Repair of Stone series. In this week's episode, we're going to talk about regular banded agate. So in the last episode, episode 5, we talked about dragon's vein agate, which is the type of agate that's been heated and then quenched so that you get that dragon vein or dragon scale pattern on the surface. These examples here are all banded agate. So they are agate that has not been through that heating and quenching process. You can see the bands in the agate of the silicate material as it has formed in various ways. And as we have talked before, onyx is also a silicate chalcedony, but onyx has very regular bands. The difference is agate has these chaotic bands. You see they meander around in various ways, sometimes turn in on each other. And so you can see that very clearly here. These are dyed agates, which help bring out the bands much more clearly. But without that dragon vein fracture pattern on the surface, we're going to see a little bit different breaking pattern when we break it, because we don't have to worry about those micro fractures in the surface of the stone. So let's go break one and we'll see what happens. So here's one of them broken. As always, I put the curved front down, put the chisel on the flat back of it, and then hit that with a hammer. With hard stones like this, it usually takes multiple times of hitting it with a hammer before it actually breaks. But here is what we got for this particular stone. You can see, just like the other agates we've looked at, we get multiple pieces. We tend to get these very sharp edged pieces, you can see here. And once again, we're seeing that conchoidal fracture where we've got the curved layers of fracture, just like we did in onyx and in the dragon's vein onyx. So that's very similar. But you'll notice on the surface, we don't have all of that, the little pieces of the dragon veins or those bits of fracture that are coming apart in this. So even though we did get some small stuff in here, it's not those sorts of pieces that we saw in the last episode. They're just almost sand-like. And instead we're left primarily with these larger pieces that go together fairly well, actually. Look at this. This one goes right here. So these pieces come back together fairly nicely, and we don't have those little tiny bits of the dragon veins coming apart that have to be you have to try to put back in place. So banded agate like this one is actually easier generally to work with than the dragon's vein agate, although I find less of it available. Even though it's got the nice banded lines in it, people don't seem to be quite as fond of it as they are of the dragon's vein agate, just because that dragon's vein fracture pattern gives such a dynamic look to the top of the stone. But let's go ahead and repair this one and we'll see what we get. And here's what we get after the repair. You'll notice on this one, this is something I commonly see in stones like this. The front is actually more complicated than the back is as we look at the repair. It's very common. I don't know if it's because I hit it on the back or if it's because the back is flat, and so when the chisel hits it, it's hitting a flat surface, whereas the front is curved. So as that impact moves through the stone, it's being transferred to a curved front laying on a flat surface. But either way, this is something I relatively commonly see. You can see how the placement of the chisel really doesn't impact how it breaks. One break line here is flowing right along the bands. The rest are coming out across the bands. So I really don't have control over that, no matter how I place the chisel or exactly where it's located. But this is our final result. Even though I got one more little piece that broke off here, as I was preparing it to be repaired, overall, you're not seeing those tiny little dragon scale pieces as part of the repair. These are larger pieces that angle out in their own way. So this is our example of a banded agate. If you'd like to see this particular piece or others similar to it, please visit the shop at akintsugilife.com. Thanks for joining us.